I am the king of fighters. JKB back with another episode. Today I'm reviewing Tekken 7 on the show. Thank you so much to Bandai Namco. You guys are awesome over there. They sent over a review copy, and that is what I've been playing for the last 28 hours straight. Let's talk about something quick. If you guys like what I did today in this review, I want to know in the comment section below, how did I do on this review? And also, as you know, YouTube is just broken. So please share this video, send it to your aunt who's in jail. Whatever you need to do to help out my show is much appreciated. Let's get into Tekken 7. Tekken 7 is the 9th installment in the Tekken series. The first to make use of the Unreal Engine. I'll say right off the bat, it looks pretty good. However, there is some sort of compression issue with some of the cutscenes in the video that were a little off-putting right off the bat. Tekken 7 had a limited arcade release in Japan in March of 2015. So if you live in Japan, you're lucky you've been playing this. But an updated version of the arcade version came out called Fated Retribution, and that was released in Japan in July 2016. This included features such as, the expanded stages, costumes, items, and characters. That's the version we're getting on home console. The most important part of any video game is always the gameplay, but in a fighting game, it better be good because the whole package relies on that. Tekken 7 introduces two new mechanics. The first is called Rage Art, which allows the player to execute a critical attack that deals roughly 30% damage depending on the health bar of your character. The other one is called Power Crunch, which lets the players continue their attacks even while being hit by an enemy. Tekken 7, in terms of its fighting style, is so hardcore that a lot of people might find it to be difficult right off the bat. Yes, you're only using 4 face buttons, but those 4 face buttons have a combination of over 46 to maybe even 50 combos that can be done with each character, and I can tell you right now, for a seasoned fighter, that might be something to pick up and just get into, but for somebody who's like just a casual gamer that's going to pick up Tekken, there's going to be a steep learning curve. But in saying all of that, for the hardcore fans and the people that really want to get into this is the most just over-the-top ridiculous fighting I have had forever. It's been so much fun playing Tekken 7 online. The treasure mode is spectacular, which I'll get into later on with the customization of the characters, but I'll say kind of overall with the gameplay, it is solid. I had absolutely no issues picking it up and getting into a fight. Once I started to realize that the game was essentially really, I'm not going to say it's a fighting simulation game because it is obviously over the top, but once I realized that you can chain together massive combos in this game by going into the training mode and understanding the characters and what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, do I have the ability to speak English? Maybe. It is an amazing fighting experience. The single player campaign is a bit of a confusing mess. Yes, you get to learn everything about the game by playing most of the characters. There's also side character missions that unlock once you get into the main story. As for the main story, I'm not going to ruin anything here. I will say that the conclusion is interesting. I'm not going to give it away because a lot of Tekken fans have been wanting to see something like this for quite some time. I will say that it's much darker than usual. It kind of goes back to Tekken 4 and the level of just darkness that game had, the edge that it had. The story itself unfolds through a very simple way. You're kind of seeing it from the point of view of an undercover police officer or detective, and he's explaining the story through his notes. And then it goes from this sort of anime cutscene to the gameplay cutscenes, the CGI gameplay cutscenes. And it's just, overall, it's just a complete mess. So if you're getting the game for single player, I gotta say, you must have some people around you to get the full benefit of this game, because the single player campaign is a bit of a letdown. Character-wise, this game has everything you can imagine, from the absolute silly over-the-top characters to the absolutely serious, with a sprinkle of cameos from other franchises. And without getting into too much detail, I think the best thing to do when you get into a game like this is pick one fighter, maybe two fighters, and really understand what it means to be that fighter. Find somebody that you really relate to in terms of the gameplay. So if you like a fast fighter, look for that in the roster. If you like somebody who's a bit more slow, in their movements with their kicking and their punching, look for that. And once you realize that's the kind of flavor you're into, go into the training mode, and that's where you'll start to see all of their combos, and you'll start to see, okay, I get it. This is how I string together a combo that works for this character. And in saying that, all the characters are spectacular in this game. There's a few obvious silly ones that kind of make the game feel like a crazy anime that's just out of control, straight out of Japan, and it's supposed to feel like that, because guess what? That's where it was made. And I really love figuring those characters out. It is an absolute blast going through the roster of these characters and understanding the strengths and weaknesses. The game features customization to the characters. You earn coins as you go through the game. There's a treasure mode which allows you to basically fight one after another character, and at the end of it you get a coin chest. It opens up and it's either going to have coins or it's going to have items that you can use to upgrade your characters. Now, all of the upgrades are just superficial upgrades. They're just going to change the way your character looks. They're not going to affect the gameplay. So customizing a character, I mean, it is really ridiculous in this. It is silly. You'll have a blast doing it. It really connects you to the character in ways that other fighting games do not. You can also customize your home screen profile, so when you go online, you can have, a different background for that as well. These are all unlocked with the coins that you get in treasure mode. And then also through the main story, you're going to unlock some of those customized character items as well. Level design, I wouldn't say is the ultimate thing you've ever seen in a fighting game. It's very simple. You have walls, you have floors that can be broken out when you do powerful moves through the floors. You have them breaking apart. You have an interesting background happening. The level design's cool, but the coolest part is it really interacts with the gameplay. So when you're picking level, you have little icons on the bottom of the screen, and those are indications on exactly what you can do. Are there walls in the level? Can you bust through the level? Those sort of details are put onto the bottom of the screen selection. So you're like, okay, I want to do something with a wall combo. The game really does show you, okay, this is the level you can do that on. So if you want to practice those things, if you're going into a tournament, this game facilitates that. I had absolutely no problems with the online mode. There's something, however, called syncing, which happens before each match. Sometimes it did it for 30 to 40 seconds per match, which was kind of frustrating when you wanted to jump back into a revenge match. So if somebody kicks your ass in this game, you can challenge them right away after the match and say, hey, give me a chance to get my honor back. And in doing so, you have to wait for the syncing. But I will say this, once it's synced up, all online matches worked flawlessly. I had absolutely no screen tearing, no problem with the frame rate, and absolutely no problem with the syncing between my controller and what was happening on screen. Another interesting aspect of online is there's not too much going on yet. And I kind of say it's interesting because I was kind of hoping for more, but they have their usual tournament mode. Then they have the versus mode and the kind of practice mode, so you don't go into the match and instantly lose. So if you want to get into a practice mode and really learn the game after you've done training, online has that as well. It's not going to count to your actual stats. However, you're going to get better at the game because it's going to toss really people that can murder you essentially online. In closing, I'm just going to say something off the bat. If you are a hardcore gamer out there, you probably have one of the arcade sticks, the fighting sticks from, say, Hori or one of the other companies, and these are super important to have in a fighting game like this, and I'll explain why. You usually have the 4 face buttons on a home console controller set out like that, and some of the combos actually require you to hit 2 of the buttons that are it's just not going to happen unless you're actually holding it like a fighting stick. So that's why I recommend this. But I did talk to my good buddy Jay from the Game Chasers, who actually uses like a PS4 controller like an arcade stick. He taps on the buttons, and that works for some fighters out there. So just wanted to point that out. But let me get into the pros and cons of Tekken 7 here. The one thing that I'm not super happy with is the story mode. It's a bit of a mess. It's all over the place. It does introduce you to the gameplay, and in terms of a story, it does things that you've wanted to see in the Tekken series. It's much darker, almost like Tekken 4 is, but it is a little disappointing for me. Then the training mode is... It is there. So you go into the training mode and you have the ability to put a fighting combo on screen. Once it's on screen, you can practice it. However, it doesn't really show you when you've pulled it off. So if there's a simple move, you can do it. The only way to know if you've really done it is to watch a movie. So you kind of have to go to the movie, okay, that's how it's done, then go back to your gameplay and realize, no, I'm not doing it right. In things like Mortal Kombat X and those other games, they tell you, like, here's the combo, pull it off, and if you don't do it, you can't go on. I kind of like that in a video game, opposed to just like, here's how it's done, figure it out yourself. Because the game is so fucking hardcore, I kind of want to know when I'm doing things right. But other than that, that's it for the cons. To close this out, I'll go over the pros really quick here. Incredible detail, in these characters. Like on screen, running the Unreal Engine is just spectacular. The depth of each character, the combos, the moves, they're all there, and there's so many different characters, like 38 of them in total in the arcade, the actual arcade version of the game. But in saying that, it's just, it's overwhelming, and that's a pro. There's at least 40 to 50 combos per character based on each character. So it's like, this is a big video game, big. Customization is absolutely fun. It's silly, but it does give you a sense of like a personal feeling, a personal connection to your character, and the customization of your own profile is also really cool. The inclusion of the coin system and unlocking things, I absolutely think that's addictive. I love going to treasure mode, unlocking things, seeing the weird costumes that come on screen. Your opponents will have all of these different hats and accessories on them, and it's pretty fun watching that. The soundtrack for a pro is unbelievable. You also have the ability to actually load in any soundtrack from any Tekken game is unlockable, and you can make your own mixes. So if you're a fan of Tekken, that's huge. And lastly, the gallery, which is going to be incredible for some people out there. This is essentially every single cutscene from every single Tekken game has been put onto the discs, or if you download it, and you're able to watch all of them. Of course, it's under not a paywall, but a paywall with the in-game coins. So after a while, you'll have enough to unlock that. And I gotta say, Tekken 7 is a solid fighting game experience, one of the best Tekkens that have been around since part 3. I'm going to give this a solid 9.5 out of 10. Highly recommended for any fighters out there. The hardcore audience is probably going to be in love with this thing, and I want to thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments below how I did in this, because this is a labor of love for me. I love this game. I'm super excited for you guys to check it out. I also have a review of Rime, which is an adventure walking simulator, it's pretty good. So definitely go in the underbar, check out that review of Rime. Comment below, how did I do in this review? Let me know. Thank you. I'll see you on the next episode of JKB. Please share this with everybody that's ever lived. Thank you.